All right, so we've got our basic setup here. So there's a few things we're going to need. First of all, to run a Raspberry Pi, because the Raspberry Pi, this little guy right here, is just a computer. And so like any computer, there's a few things you have to have. So obviously a keyboard and a mouse, if you want to do anything with the keyboard or with the computer. Obviously you need a power supply so you can plug it in. You need some Wi-Fi, that's what this little guy is. And you need a hard drive. You need something that actually has the operating system on it. And that's what this little guy is. And then finally, and for us, we're going to actually use this big display here, but you need any kind of display that has an HDMI input. Because if you look at this guy, you'll see that the video output is HDMI. This box right here, I've pulled out this little tiny card, and that little tiny card is the hard drive for the Raspberry Pi. And so I'm going to very simply take this card, face it with the writing side towards the bottom of the Pi, and there's a little slot right here. I'm just going to push it in until it clicks, and that's it. My video, I'm going to plug directly into there. My Wi-Fi, which is this little stick right here, I'm going to plug that into one of my USB ports. My keyboard, I'm going to plug into another USB port. My mouse, likewise. And plug into another USB port. And last but not least, my power. There's a little tiny USB port that matches the size of the power plug right here. Plug that in and plug it in to my power. Now as soon as I do this, my Pi will start. So you can see I've got a green light blinking, which means that I have power, and momentarily it should start up on the big screen there.
Which we see.
Right, so now we've got our Pi started, and this is essentially what your screen will look like depending on the version of Pi you have. You might have a different background, but really the piece that you're most interested in is this little button right here, and that is where you'll find your main menu. And if you're playing with Pi for the first time, probably the place you'll want to start with is under Programming. Now, there's a number of different environments you can program in. You can see that if you want to do some coding in Java, there is a Java IDE, which stands for Integrated Debugging Environment, which is basically just a programming editor. Geany, which is just a simple editor. It doesn't do much other than editing. Greenfoot, which is another editor. Python 2 and Python 3. Most of the time you're going to actually be using Python 3 if you're working with the Raspberry Pi's GPIO port. And if you're very new to programming, Scratch. And Scratch is a great place to start. All it does is uses Lego pieces, these guys right here, to make the cat over here do things. So for example, I could say, when the green flag is clicked, I would like to move 10 steps, and then I'd like to turn 15 degrees. And just with that, I can push the green flag, and you can see that my cat moves and turns. So there's a starting point for your Raspberry Pi. There's lots more that it will do. You can add software, but it's limited based on how much space that little SD card has. But really, for the most part, everything you need is here. When you're done, all you need to do is simply click up here, click shut down, and your Pi should turn itself off.